Welcome to Vedak Farms Academy and Kembiba Company Limited. I think it has been a long time, but we're still cruising and we're trying to also come up with more videos and try to stay disciplined this time. So thank you for being here always and supporting us and also learning from the page. I know you are also benefiting a lot from the page. Thank you. So today we're going to learn this topic. I think you've seen already why most farmers or why most businessmen enter into a very huge debt or even leave their business and their business collapses. Why do they go into debt, especially as farmers? So let's start with it. One is absentee supervision or absentee ownership. So supposing you have opened a business and you are not there, first of all, the probability for you to enter into debt is very high. You stand at a risk of about 30 to 40% going into debt. Why? Because people are not going to give you the data that you need to process to make projections, especially in Africa, where we come from. That things are integrity is no more because people don't really value their integrity. Not everybody, but people doesn't really value it anymore. They just want to tell you stories. So thing that keep people into more debt is absentee farming. So when you are not there and people are just taking in charge for you, you can end up by putting too much money into something, but you are getting a little return. And now, for example, if you're a poultry farmer and you're putting too much money into what you're doing, raising the birds, buying the feed, building the cages, and you are not getting enough of what you are doing, then you're gonna end up by at times the money that you've been invested in, you'll be end up by even borrowing more into the business. And also even maybe a maize farmer, goat farmer, whatever farming you are doing, if you're absent from the farm, which most of us go through, your probability of you entering into debt is very, very high because people don't really care as you care as the business belongs to you. So that is one. I'll address how you can cater for this all of these things. The next one is record keeping. One thing that can also make you enter into debt. When I talk about debt, I'm not talking about maybe 100 cedis, 200 cedis debt, or let's say $1,000. I'm talking about money that you invested about maybe $5,000, $10,000, 20, 50, 80,000, whatever, $100,000. And you are not getting money. That's what I'm talking about. And maybe you end up by owing people and people calling you for their money. That's what I'm talking about. And it's not a joke. End of the day, people go in and at times even give them pressure and they can't sleep and you see like they've lost their senses. So the next one is record keeping. We are into businesses that most of us don't even keep record. We just set a group WhatsApp pages or send it to me on WhatsApp. But you cannot use data to compare. You cannot use WhatsApp to compare and contrast your data. Because at times you may say, oh, like today I had this kind of results. Let's put it in poultry perspective. Oh, today I have this kind of results. Good, you have the results. But how do you compare maybe the previous week and this week? What am I doing? Am I making good reference? Maybe you may be assuming, oh, last week things wasn't good at all, but this week is good. But even as it is still good, it's not even the best one that you need. So end of the day, record keeping is very necessary. How they feed, the drink, how much you are paying people, what is going into it, what is going out, the brokings, everything, and even this maize farming, how the laborers that you are using to plant the maize, the tractors, everything should be based on a database. Why do you use the record that you are taking as the owner or as the supervisor or the manager or the MD? What you are using the data is to make projections. Do I have to go invest in it more, or do I have to just maybe relax? Or the next 2 years, 3 years, what did they tell me? Because at times You can go back to like 3 years. Some of my data here, at times I go back and I see the predictions, and I can say, oh, this time around, I know maize price is liable to increase, or feed will be increasing. So it makes you make some predictions so quick. So at times it prevents you from making mistakes. But the same way, so if you don't have it, you may be putting money into something that you don't know even what is going to come in the next 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. I mean, this business is not everything that you can predict, for that one for sure. But there are some things, if you have information at hand, you can predict about maybe 50, 60%, and that is going to give you much information, So get the data from the people that are supposed to give to you. Get the data at hand. Call them. The maize that you are buying, how much are you buying it? The soya that you are buying, how much are you buying it? The people that you are sending them to do the work for you, how much are you paying them? The land that you are buying, how much are you buying the land right now? Make everything on the data, on Excel, then compare them, so that in the next year or in the next subsequent days, if you're going into it, you compare the data. So record is very, very important. Otherwise, you end up by putting money into it, and by the time you are in a big problem because you invested wrongly, which most of us who are in the diaspora entering into Africa investing, that's what we are doing. We are investing wrongly. We are investing money anyhow, and we end up by going into debt. And people out there too taking advantage of us using our money anyhow. And then the next one is investing more than 80% of your capital. So let's take it for example. I'm going to maybe Africa, going to open a business, and I have like, let's say $10,000 that I'm going to invest the money. Do I have to invest this whole money into my business? No. Why don't you have to do that? Because if you do that, you are likely to enter into debt, because you must get something they call a buffer stock. So you must have a buffer capital. So the buffer capital is what you use in case what you predicted or what you projected is going down. You come in and fuel that money into it. You don't need to put all the money, like let's say the $10,000, into the business. What you end up by doing, if things are going down, you may end up by borrowing or going for credit. And when you go for credit, your supplier is going to increase his profit margin, because you're not going to pay to him maybe in the next 1 week or 2 weeks. So he's going to increase his profit margin on you. So at the end of the day, you become a milking cow for him, because he's kind of taking more money from you because you are not paying. So what you need to do is that get a buffer capital. So you put some money over there, invest about 60 to 70%. So if things are going down, you bring that money in to push it. Or if things are going way good, you bring the money in to increase it. And at the end of the day, that money will be a backup. Not really a backup, because it's not too much for you, or not a large sum of money, but it's something that if things are going way down, you can bring it in. Okay, so let's say you bring the money 80% and you're investing, but at the end of the day, things have started turning and it's going down. What do you need to do? Because the capital is going down, that money is over there. You need to give yourself time. Don't really right away panic. Oh, I need the money to go. Otherwise, no. Take yourself, give yourself time. Assess the situation and put the money in. Because we are in African businesses. It's a business that it goes down so quick and it climbs really high, because of how our pricing systems in the countries. Because producers determine their own pricing systems. So at times, if you are the one producing, you can make your own prices, and if people are willing to buy, you make that profit. The same way, if people are not willing to buy what you are producing, that means you don't have anybody that is going to take the excess of the product for you. So it's very important, if you're going in and you're putting too much money in, that can end you in a very big debt, especially if you're a first time investor, if you're second time into poultry, into crop farming, into livestock farming, any farming that you are going into, or into any of the business, be very, very careful about pushing all your money into it one time. Otherwise, you have to find another job to do it, to push yourself, and maybe you'll be feeling regretted. Things that we can do to prevent us from going into debt. That's what I'm telling you right now. The next one is taking more than you can, or doing more than you can. You see, you are not there to impress anybody. There is, in business, there is a competition that they call toxic competition. Like, you and I are going to competition. If you take this, I also do this. If I take this, I will take. End of the day, you don't know the source of that person's income. And if you do that, you get to a time, you will be taking more than you're supposed to take care of. Let me give you an example. Like, you are a poultry farmer, and you end up by maybe going, let's say you have a capacity that can only take care of, let's say, 1,000 bears. And now I can do 2,000, I can do 3,000. You're going in for the 2,000 bears, but what will end up by what you end up by doing is that you'll not get enough money to raise the bears as how you're supposed to raise them. So instead of giving the right feed, you may cut corners. Instead of maybe giving them the right drinkers, the number of drinkers, good what is the name, the house, because you don't have enough capital, you'll be combining the best and all that. And by the time you know, everything will be coming down. And you will be asking yourself, what is the cause? Because the cause is that you were not able to care for the best, or you took more than you can. It's like the same thing. For example, maize farming. You are able to do maybe, let's say, 4 acres. No, I can do 10 acres. When there is time for you to give the fertilizer or the manure, go for manure from somewhere, because you don't have the capacity to care for the crops, you may end up by losing them because you don't have the resources to cater for that particular quantity that you are doing. You know, the same thing if you want to build a house to rent, or I can build a story building, 3 story. Maybe you don't have that money, so you get stuck along the way and you can continue the house again. Maybe you could have built the grounds and maybe finish everything, rent it out and get your money back. So people, if you want to exempt yourself, or if you want to take yourself from debt, one, try to make yourself available at the place that you invest. At times, some of us in the abroad, it's very hard, once in a year, twice in a year, but do your best to go there. If you know that the money that you have invested is a lot, don't try sit here and one of the day taking audio calls, which some of us have done it before and it did not help. One day I'll tell you more, but not today. So the next one is your record. I mean, the record keeping is not to tell you, oh, I'm doing good, I'm getting good numbers. No, it's for you to project and make good plans. What is the next year? What did happen last year? Because I can tell you, last year by this time, feed prices were going up. If you look at the projections, if you look at the data that we're doing, and this time around it has started again. The same dollar rate, which was the cost, it has started the same thing. And when it's going to end up, you can project it. And at times, business is not going to follow 100% of what you're doing, but at times you have a fair mind. By last year, maize price was going up. So this by the what is the name? Now it started like June. It started like April, like that. About price was going up, and it came down. It wasn't able to go up. Why? Because we had more support from Cote d'Ivoire. They brought more of their maize in. So it tells you that last year maize was a little bit stable. This year it started scrambling, but are we able to sustain it as last year? So these are some of the stuff you just kind of contemplate on it and make a very good decision. So if I do this, I'll be okay, successful. And the next one that I talking about is investing more of your capital one time in. That is not a good idea. Try to go like 70% of your capital, reserve the 30%. If within a year, give yourself like a 12-month flame. What we have invested already is giving a nice return that push this other 30 in and start getting the plug back profit. Either you do a plug back profit, put the profit back in it, or you save the profit. But excuse me, if you go by putting the whole money into it, oh, I get 50,000, I'm going to enter, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this cage, I'm going to buy this manure, what is the name? Manure, bringing my farm, I'm going to buy this fertilizer, I'm going to buy this. Too much buying. No, because you have the money at hand. That's why you are doing that. But if you have disciplined yourself, I have the money at hand, but I'm pushing only 70%. This 30% is not going. until I see something out. You may see how everything will just turn out for you. Because I tell you, some of the things that some of us did, and it's no help. That's why I don't want you to fall into it. Don't crush yourself before you start saying, oh, I would have known. Maybe some of us have told you already. And as I said, we're always here to just encourage and motivate you. Until we meet next time, I say chase your dreams and money will follow you. Peace. Shalom.